It's Wednesday and we're fast approaching the end of the international break, which means that we really do need to start turning our attention fully back to our FPL teams. And today I have my best transfer tips, hopefully based on the players that are being moved in, being moved out of everyone's teams. And look, there are a lot of players that have their active chip of their wild card active at the moment. And I'm just here to basically tell you whether I think they're good or not. You can listen to me, you can ignore me, you can say I'm a fool. I don't really mind. But if you do enjoy this content, make sure you smash a like on the video. Leave us a comment with the moves you're considering. And look, there is a lot of merit, I think, even to rolling this week, based on the fact that there are so many players coming back and we don't know these injuries, and I don't know how much information we're going to gain from the presses either. And if you haven't already joined the family, please consider subscribing. With that being said, ladies and gents, let's get into it. So my transfer tips, your questions for this game week. And look, there has been a number of stuff. It's obviously been a long game week. And obviously, if you aren't in the FPL WhatsApp community chat, which is free to join, there is a link in the description. I'll also leave it as the first comment on this video. It's free. Like, just join. I've seen a lot of comments in there about different players and stuff like that. And I essentially gain these questions based off that chat every single week. So if you're wondering and you're in that chat already, and you're wondering how I come up with these questions, it's based on you guys and what you come up with. So some content creators are saying Mo Salah's a buy. Why? This is a tough one. Now, I look at it from two perspectives, and my honest opinion at the start of the season, I thought Mo Salah wasn't worth 14.5 mil, which means I still don't think he's worth 14.4 mil. However, a lot of the other more premium assets that cost a bit of money just aren't performing. Like, all you need to do is look at Bruno Fernandes, 9 mil. What are you getting for that? Gyökeres, 9.1 mil. What are you getting for that? Isaac, 10.6 mil. What are you getting for that? Like, none of these other guys are actually popping off. And a lot of the lower-based midfielders that I'm going to be covering later on in this video are doing really well. So maybe there is a world where you can just go with Mo Salah. And being a Man United fan, I know exactly how painful it has been watching Mo Salah when he plays Man United. He has an unbelievable record, so I do understand it. And I think, and we'll see it later on in this video where I get to the free hit and wildcard drafts. On free hit, I've got Mo Salah and I've got him as captain. Now, he's got an unbelievably good record against Man United. If you don't believe me, go and look it up. Even last season, he's been brilliant. I'm not saying he's going to deliver, but I understand the allure of it. But for consecutive weeks, I'm not sure. It just depends on where you want to spend your money and how you want to play the game. So I think I can understand why others are promoting him. For me, I haven't even considered him, but I can understand it. Why are the cartel telling us telling us double Arsenal defense is the way to go? Now, look, I said this in my transfer plans video at the start. Now, I bet on the Newcastle defense over the Arsenal defense on wildcard. Now, if I'd had my time again, I probably would have bought Jurriën Timber on wildcard as well and not had Krejci. And I would have had Mukiele and I would have had Timber, and then I could have played a back four in any given week because I'd have Senesi, Timber, Burn and Chalobah. And I think that's four really good defenders. I don't think you need a double Arsenal defence, is the honest answer. Now, I have double Newcastle defence and I have double Bournemouth defence when I want to play them because obviously I've got the two goalkeepers there that rotate. But I did that because I haven't played bench press yet, not because I wanted double defense per se. And I just thought they worked out really well and they looked really good. I just think that potentially you can save money. If money is an issue in your team, you could bet on Newcastle defense over Arsenal defense. And let's be honest, the next two fixtures for Arsenal, Fulham away and Crystal Palace at home, don't honestly scream clean sheets to me. Both of those teams have a habit of scoring goals, at least one goal a game. So then you're relying on an Arsenal attacking return from the defender you've got. So I actually think potentially if you didn't buy him in game week 7 for West Ham and you're not on wildcard, you can probably get away with not investing in them until game week 10. That's my plan anyway. I think the longer I think about it this week, the more I think about my moves, I think that's potentially what I'm going to do myself. Now, player prices might affect my moves, but the players I want to flag what to do. Now, this is an interesting one because one of the players I really want to buy is Enzo Fernandez. Now, he's currently flagged, and obviously I don't really want to be losing team value, and I'm obviously really watching the João Pedro. Lots of people are selling him. and people are selling the pigeon as well. Ideally, João Pedro's price will drop from all the people selling him. I'm going to talk about whether I think that's a good move later on or not. And the pigeons won't. And then I'll move the pigeon to João Pedro after his price has dropped, before the pigeon's price drops, and I save a bit of money and kind of gain 0.1 that way, because I think João Pedro will eventually go back up again anyway. But, or I just go to Nick Voltebard. So again, that's also another option that potentially I might do. But yeah, I wouldn't be too worried. And I obviously knew that Timber was in my option. I knew he was going to go up in price, 5.8. A bit like Sucker, I'd considered him. He was at 9.8, already up to 9.9. There's a good chance they both rise again before the deadline. Now, I just think that it's better to wait for the information. Wait to see how the players come back before you sit there and make a move. So for me, that's just what I'm going to do. I don't think there's wrong. I normally am a very aggressive manager and just go for it and hope for the best. I just think with the start I've had this season, I can't afford to make any more missteps. So I'm being a little bit more cautious in terms of waiting for information before I do that. Based on the fact that I just want to buy these players. I want to make sure if I'm buying Enzo Fernandez that he's good to go, not that he's going to miss this week. Otherwise, it completely stuffs up my plans about what I want to do, particularly with chip play and stuff like this. Who's the best asset to buy this week? Now, this is always... Actually, last week it wasn't a difficult question. This week, it is a difficult question. Now, you'll see what I mean. The midfielders at the 6.5 bracket or around that area and below or just over is so hard to pick. I've literally pulled out 8 of them and I don't own any of them. And I'm trying to make up my mind about which one I want. And I can make cases for every single one of them. So this week, I actually don't have an answer for who is the best asset to buy. I think if you had to pull my leg and I really wanted the Arsenal coverage, I'd probably say Declan Rice. Just because of the fact I think he's amazing value for what he offers at 6.5, and I think he's going to be really good long term. Now, is Senesi still good value at 5.5 million after what happened at Fulham? Obviously, he got pulled off before he got the DC contributions, got his first real blank of the season at 2 points. I don't think that's going to happen every game. I think that happened because of the fact that Fulham were in front, Bournemouth needed to chase the game, and they just needed to sacrifice a defender. Now, I think Senesi's fine. I don't see a hell of a lot of clean sheets over the next 4 weeks. If he scrapes one over the next 4 weeks, he's done exceptionally well. There's every chance that he does get some sort of an attacking return, another assist, or maybe even a goal over those 4 weeks, and is probably high likelihood with the fixtures he's got that he's going to rack up the DC points every single week. So he's still going to be pretty good value. Nowhere near as good as at 4.5, but maybe you can make a case that Truffett's probably a better option than Senesi if you want to save that money and you're buying new. Do you need to sell your Man United assets before Liverpool? The answer to that is a big fat no. Nah, I've sat there and thought about selling mine as well. And half of me just wants to roll and bench boost with Bruno and Mbeumo on the bench. Because I just think that Man United score against Liverpool. They're not functioning. They don't keep clean sheets at the moment. They look very shaky defensively. And if Man United can get nearly sniffed, this game could be anything. Like, it could be an absolute humdinger with lots of goals, or it could be really tight and just a 1-0 affair. But I just got a sneaky suspicion that Man United assets are definitely worth a hold. I don't say this with any confidence, other than the fact that maybe it's my Man United bias coming through, but I think they're good holds. I think they're good holds this week, and I would even consider playing them if you've got them. Also, Bruno's record against Liverpool is actually not bad. Yes, I know they've been spanked by him, but quite often when Man United do well against Liverpool, guess who gets the points? It's Bruno Fernandes. I was going to say Brian and Mbeumo. Maybe that's the case that they both get him. Who knows? Is DCL unit a buy and Operation Anderson a sell? Probably no and no. If you've obviously got Anderson, you're not really wanting to waste a transfer unless you're upgrading him to like a Timber or a Chalobah or someone that's good. Then I wouldn't worry wasting a sideways transfer on Anderson. It just doesn't make any sense. And in terms of the DCL unit, I mean, if you want a dead end spot, just go for someone that's cheaper. Mark Gui's 4.3 million. He's probably going to start getting some minutes, and probably he'll score more goals than Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well. Yeah, that's just my thoughts on that last question that I got asked. So one of the most defensive transferred in players this week, and it's no surprise that Jurrien Timber is at the top of the list along with Gabriel. The only concerns I've got about him is that Fulham away is not an easy fixture, and I don't think, particularly after an international break, especially with Gabriel coming back from Brazil as well, I just don't... Yeah, I'm just not sure. I'm really not sure about these two moves, which is why the more I think about it this week, the more I think I'm just going to let them go and just take on Arsenal again this week and probably next week as well. I might die by the sword, but I could also make a boatload of points up by all these people doubling up on the Arsenal defence. So that's just my line of thinking. And I'm not saying it's right. It's probably going to be wrong. But if it's right, my God, it's going to be good. In terms of Timber, though, I'm not surprised. He should be the number one transferred in player. If I was to make a defensive transfer this week, it would be him in. Categorically, he'll be in. I've obviously got Senesi and Burn myself, and I understand the lure of them. But Dan Burn, I actually think he should be number 2. I think Dan Burn should be number 2 with the way Newcastle's defence has been and how much cheaper he is than Gabriel. Yeah, I just don't understand why he's getting overlooked so much and Gabriel's getting all this extra love. When Newcastle have kept, I think it's now 2 more clean sheets than Arsenal this season. Make up your mind about that one. Gahey, I understand it. He's been unbelievably good, and he's got a lot of attacking returns to Crystal Palace as well, which I did not foresee coming. He hasn't yet to get his own goals that he normally likes to get per season, but he should be really good as well. Alderete, lots of people probably picking Sunderland players for this fixture. Wolves at home to bench boost potentially. That was my initial plan as well, was to bench boost. And I think potentially it still might be. I'm still working for it for the team selection tomorrow. And then Vardiol, this guy should be higher up as well. Again, Man City, I think, will be a very good defence. With Aït-Nouri coming back, he might even go back to being in the centre. And then that means more DC points potentially for Gvardiol. Either way, he's got that attacking threat. He got the assist in the last game. He's going to be great. In terms of the most transferred out, Livramento's going to be out for a while, so that makes a lot of sense. Virgil van Dijk, people are losing faith because of the fact that they want an Arsenal defender, and for a lot of people, it's the easiest way to get one. I don't think there's much difference this week between having a Gabriel or a Virgil, except Gabriel probably does shade him on the attacking threat. But other than that, Virgil probably shades him on the DC threat. So how likely is it they score a goal? Who knows? How likely is it someone gets a DC point? I'd say significantly more likely. I don't think that's a good move this particular week per se. Van de Ven and Pedro Porro, I do understand those moves. Spurs fixtures for the foreseeable future. Yes, they're not stupidly hard, but they are fixtures where you expect Spurs to concede. I'm not saying Spurs are going to lose. I think actually they'll win quite a lot of them. I just think that they'll concede the odd goal against a lot of these teams. And for that reason, I think they are probably pretty good sells. Konza, Aston Villa's fixtures go absolutely down the gurgler now, starting with Tottenham away. So easy sell there, really. Estev, that must be lots of people on wildcard just transferring to a different 4 million defender. Again, that makes a lot of sense. Burnley do look like the 20th place side along with Wolves. It's going to be a toss-up between which one of them finishes 20th at the moment. But Kukurea at number 7, I don't understand why people are selling him. Have you seen the Chelsea fixtures between now and game week? Well, a long time into the future. Kukurea is going to be great, and I don't think he's going to get rotated overly much. And we saw against Liverpool, the attacking returns and defenders are back, baby. And Kukurea, my boy, if he costs slightly less, potentially I might be considered to go and get him with a double up with Chalobah. But because he costs a bit more, sorry, I'm going to stay with Chalobah until Chalobah gets benched, and then I want Kukurea back. So on to the midfield transfers, and Semenyo, no surprise, I swear he has been top every single week this season. Yeah, maybe Reinders beat him in game week 2. After that big haul in the first game week. I just don't think so. I think Semenyo is just going to win this battle until he blanks and properly blanks. He's just been so good. So many people now own him. He's approaching 60% ownership. I can't say anything bad. The dude is getting it done. 6 goals already and 3 assists for the season. The dude, 9 attacking returns in 7 games. What more do you need out of that? He has been unbelievably, absurdly good. And I still think he's really good value for the price that he's at, considering I've got Mbeumo, Fernandes and Foden all more expensive than him in my own midfield, and he's the one getting the business done, and the others just sit there looking at me wondering where the cough medicine is to fix their cold. Yeah. Caicedo, I honestly think that Caicedo and Enzo should be swapped. I know that Caicedo's obviously got a lot of attacking returns this season, and his floor is almost 4 points, with literally him averaging over 13 DC points per game. But I just think Enzo's better. It's particularly Palmer out of that team. I don't see a reason not to run. Now, maybe the yellow flags put people off, but I'm telling you, that feels to me like a strategic pull-out injury from an international game where he's going to be really needed at Chelsea over the coming game weeks, and he's getting a rest. That's what it screams to me, but maybe I'm wrong. Kudos. I don't know if this is a good move. I'm surprised that he's the third most transferred in midfield. Yes, I know he had a really good game week and he started the season on fire. He's got 1 goal, 5 assists for the opening 7 games. I just don't think that run's going to continue with the fixtures turning. I think it's going to be a lot more sporadic. I think he'll come back to the field. I think there's better options in that price bracket. Saka, I mean, if he hadn't scored that penalty, he wouldn't even be on this list. Let's be honest. If he had not taken that penalty, he would not be on the list for the price that he costs and but his underlying numbers are actually really good. But the price that he costs I'm not sure he's actually value for money either, if I'm being brutally honest. Enzo, as I said, I think he's great, and I think he's a great pick. I'm surprised that Sarr comes in at number 6. I mean, that dude is definitely the best 6.5 million midfielder in the game that started at 6.5 million. He's unbelievably good. His underlying numbers are amazing. I thought that they were going to go down based on, from what he did last year. They've done the other thing. They've gone upwards. Actually, Eze leaving might have actually boosted Sarr as a really good asset. So, yeah. Anthony, he's yellow flagged. He does need to be monitored. He went off of a knock in the last game. I think he should be really good. But Leeds at home and then obviously a nice fixture next week as well. These are the weeks you want him for. And these are the weeks where you hope that he's going to return. Now, on to the most transferred out. Mo Salah, most transferred out player. Now, this must be all the people on wildcard because it's the only reason to get rid of him this week. His record against Man United, particularly at home for Liverpool, is unbelievably good. And I just don't think it's a good sell this week. I think if I had him in my team, I would play him and I would captain him this week. So for that reason, I don't understand why so many people are selling him, unless you're on wildcard. And even then, I could make a case that maybe you should just go with Salah and Haaland on a wildcard, even though I don't cover that in this video. Grealish, just hold him. Why are you selling him for 1 game week? He's literally been the hub of that Everton attack. He's been unbelievably good. Just hold him, bench him, play someone else. He's only out for 1 week. You just can't play his parent club. Bruno Fernandes and Mbumo. Now, I understand they're a little here. I have considered selling them myself, along with Reinders, with my 3 free transfers, or by rolling this week and using my 4 next week to move the lot of them. But I think if you can somehow trust that Man United get a goal at Liverpool, then if you've got Bruno and Mbumo, I think potentially they're pretty good holds. Reinders, they've got Everton at home. I'd be holding him this week. Then potentially you could look at moving him. But again, who are you moving him to? And are you going to be playing him every week? Because if that's like your 8th attacker like it is mine, who cares if he sits on the bench most weeks? I don't. Verts, yeah, unlucky if you've had him this long and he's gone down to 8.1 million. Look, he's probably going to come good. He's probably going to come good now that so many people have sold him, but I can't say I have any confidence that he is. And if you want to sell him, by all means, go ahead. It's probably a good sell. I would have sold him a long time ago. I would have sold him after 2 weeks, to be honest with you. Palmer, I mean, yeah, so many people, I still can't believe he comes at number 7. He's been out for a while, and he's not going to be back anytime soon, I don't think, either. So he, again, he's a very easy sell. Yeah, just move him on and hope that he comes back fit after a succinct period of rest. So the forward transfers, and this one is always my favourite one to look at because, like, you see players here and they're moving and they're on both sides of the divide, etc., etc. But look, this week it's almost 7 and 7. The only 2 players that show up on both sides are João Pedro and Gyökeres. Like, they're the only 2 that show up on both sides. Well, let's start with Gyökeres. So he's the 6th most transferred in player, which I do not understand at all. I'm legitimately shocked that he's the most transferred in. I understand he's actually the 2nd most transferred out. I actually think that he should be the most transferred out player. I don't think he's worth anywhere near 9.1 million. And I think if everyone had the cartel template, let's call it that, of Haaland, João Pedro and Gyökeres from when they did a wildcard 6 or whenever they wildcarded, why you're selling João Pedro instead of Gyökeres just baffles me. Completely and utterly baffles me. I just think that you're better off saving the money, keeping João Pedro, flogging Gyökeres. He takes up an Arsenal spot. He's a very easy sell. I just think that makes no sense. In terms of João Pedro, why he's the most sold forward with Nottingham Forest away, followed by Sunderland at home and an unbelievably good fixture run when he's literally going to be rested from the Champions League because he's suspended, makes no sense to me at all. He's been rested for the international break as well. Maybe people were just scared from his numbers and he's been absolutely rubbish. But most of the time he's been rubbish is because Chelsea have been playing with 10 men and he's had no one to play with. So I think that's highly likely to change. I think he'll be good moving forward. And look, he's actually the one player, it's between him and Baltimore that comes into my team for the pigeon. Like, that is the plan. And I think I really want João Pedro. I need to find 0.5 million more to make it happen. There are a few different ways of doing that, but I think that's what I really want to do. Haaland, no-brainer. Literally the most bought player in the game for like a number of weeks in a row now. The dude is unstoppable. You just need to get on board the cyborg train and hope that it doesn't end anytime soon and forces us to do anything else, because he's almost really a set and forget captain as well at the moment. And I think FPL moving forward need to look at the captaincy for next season. You can't captain anyone more than 2 weeks in a row. You've then got to give them at least a 2-week break. Something like that, just to make it a bit more interesting and get people to play different captains, because that adds excitement to the game. And that's what I've been trying to do this season by myself, and it's been going miserably. But it'd be nice if it was going miserably for others as well, or really good for others if they went on differential captains like Semenyo last week. Walter Mata, second most transferred in forward. I think this should be Jared Bowen. I think Jared Bowen's next 5 games are unbelievable. I think he'll be the second top scoring forward over the next 5 weeks behind Haaland. Walter Mata and João Pedro could literally flick a card. In fact, I'm going to flick a card here, and this is going to tell us who's better out of them. Walter Mata, João Pedro in terms of buying, and it's gone with João Pedro. There you go. Thiago, I don't mind that. A cheaper asset. I think he'll be really good. Nice fixtures outside of Liverpool next week for Brentford. As I talked about Gyökeres and Šeško, maybe people are buying for the fixtures that follow Liverpool. I think Šeško is going to be pretty good. I think he's going to be pretty good. I'm surprised the Athletic gave him the worst transfer of the season. Don't know who did that. Must be a Liverpool fan, because let's be honest, it hasn't been Šeško. In terms of the most transferred out, João Pedro makes no sense. Gyökeres, talked about that one. Richarlison, the pigeon, he's on the chopping block for me as well. Yeah, benched obviously in the last game week. Away with Brazil, I mean, he could even get benched in this game week as well with Aston Villa at home. Wood, his time has come, unfortunately. The Woody the Woodpecker needs to be retired. At Ekitike, again, Isaac, that's just a problem. Liverpool aren't clicking. Yeah, they're pretty easy sells. And Watkins... yeah, injured, went off injured for England or whatever, and now he's yellow flagged. And I mean, Villa's fixtures suck, and so does Ollie Watkins. 1 goal in 7 games. That's all you need to know. He's definitely not worth that money this season, that's for sure. So, delaying transfers, waiting for the pressers. A number of clubs are sweating on potential injuries, so waiting until the pressers could be wise. Now, it's not always wise, because sometimes they give us absolutely nothing and we're still playing a guessing game. But it does make sense this particular week to wait for the pressers as they come along, because there will hopefully be some information given that will tell us whether players are good, whether they're not. And that's my plan this week, is just to wait for that. And the late mail, which is a live show this week. Players travelling back late from playing around the world could be tired. That's inevitable. That's why I'm concerned about the pigeon, which is why I really want to move him if I'm going to play the bench boost this week, because I don't want a 1-pointer. The rush for Arsenal players, can this now be delayed till game week 10 with 2 not as easy game weeks? As I said before during the questions, I think that is the play. That is my play, most likely moving forward as well. Yeah. I mean, particularly the defence. I don't think there's any rush for the defence. I think from an attacking perspective, yes, you could buy players for... Now, obviously, you can argue that some of the defensive assets are really good attackers as well, like Timber has been and Calafiori this season. Maybe buy one of them. Cover both bases. Many popular players being considered, as I've talked about before, are currently flagged. So again, that is another thing that you need to monitor, and just check that they're good before you buy them. Just delay that transfer until you have that information. You don't want to be sitting there with egg on your face. It's not very much fun. So the game week 8 mids, and this is the quandary I'm in at the moment. Now, other players that are unlucky to... I've run out of space, right? There's only so many people we can smash on this thing. So other players around this, in and around this price point, 6.5 million and below: Caicedo, Paqueta, Grealish, Xhaka, and Longstaff. Now, I included Enzo rather than Caicedo just because the numbers are so much better for Enzo. Yes, I know Caicedo's defensive contribution numbers are through the roof, and he's really good, and he's just outperformed all attacking data that you thought was possible this season. So he's done really well. I didn't put Grealish in because he's suspended this week, so no one's really going to be buying him this week. Even if you're on wildcard, you'll probably look for somewhere else. Yeah. And look, I don't know which one I want to buy. I don't own any of these guys. And I want to own... I could make a case to owning 5 of them. Like, let's be honest. Ndiaye. Now, everyone knows my thoughts about Ndiaye, but the stats don't lie. 7 starts, 2 clean sheets, 3 goals, 1 assist. I boosted his numbers thanks to that penalty to 0.33 expected goals per night, 0.16 expected assists. And he's got really good underlying DC numbers. Now, I'm not going to buy him, but, I mean, those numbers are pretty good. You can't lie with those numbers. 4 attacking returns from 7 games is pretty decent. It's almost 1 every 2 games, which is nice. Kudos, 6.8. Now, he's had a very nice run of fixtures through the first 7 games. 3 clean sheets, 1 goal, 5 assists. So 6 attacking returns from 7 games. His underlying numbers not so good. 0.19 expected goals, 0.17 expected assists, and his DC is nothing to write home about. But then when you're comparing to Minte, you're saving 0.8 million here. 7 starts, 1 clean sheet, 1 goal, 2 assists. So he's 3 assists behind, but his underlying numbers are better. 0.25 expected goals, 0.19, that should be 0.19 expected assists. I knew I'd missed something on this thing. There was a lot of numbers on there, but that should be XA. And there's the last 2 as well, Gravenberch and Anthony. I knew there was something I'd missed before. Rice. This is one of my favourites, and I think potentially this is where I want to go if I go for an Arsenal player. Now, his underlying numbers are rubbish. 0.08 expected goals, 0.19 expected assists. But he takes all those in-swinging corners on the left-hand side when Arsenal get him, and that excites me. And again, he's such good value for money, 6.5 million. He's already got 40 points this season, which is absurd. When you look at Saka, you look at Eze, they're on 22 and 20 the other way around. And he's going to get the odd DC contribution points as well. So he's got multiple routes to points. I like that. He's literally going to play him the majority of minutes, I think, as well. He's a fitness machine. I can't make a case against Rice at that price point and say he's not good. Then you got Sarr, 5 starts. Unfortunately, has been injured, which does put a little bit of a marker on him. But 3 goals, 1 assist from those 5 starts is absurd. 0.61 expected goals per 90 and 0.06 expected assists. I mean, you don't get any better than that. That's why I said at the very start of the season, he will be the best 6.5 million midfielder in the game. And at the moment, he's backing it up. If he played all 7 games, I think he'd be leading a lot of them quite comfortably. Then we've got Enzo Fernandez, 7 starts for him, 3 goals, 2 assists. That's 5 attacking contributions from 7 games. Again, his underlying numbers are really good. It has been boosted by that penalty, obviously, he did take. An XG of 0.55 per 90, an XA of 0.07. Then you've got Anthony. Now, he scored 4 goals, 1 assist. For a bloke that's 5.7 million, that's absurdly good. From 7 starts. Obviously, he did go off injured in that last game, which is a little bit concerning. Now, his expected goals is actually 0.33, and his expected assists is 0.1. I've just... unfortunately, got that wrong way around. I was fixing this from the start of the season. I just missed these last 2 things. He's actually not too bad for DC points as well, even though he hasn't yet connected with the magical 12 number. And then Gravenberch, he's hit the DC threshold once. He's actually pretty good underlying numbers there, 9.33. Now, his XA and XG, the reason why I just put him in is because he's from Liverpool, and maybe you just want to spread the love around rather than Caicedo, because Caicedo's numbers from an XA and XG point are exactly the same as Gravenberch's. In fact, it's actually 0.02 XGI less than Gravenberch. He's just massively outperformed. Again, Gravenberch, 2 goals, 2 assists from those underlying numbers is non-sustainable. So I don't know. I don't know why you'd be buying him. I don't think he's going to consistently do that. But again, he's really cheap option at 5.7. I think if you had to ask me to rate them, I think I'd say Sarr number 1, Enzo number 2, Rice number 3, Minte number 4. No, I can't believe I'm saying this. Ndiaye number 5. Kudos number 6. Anthony number 7. Gravenberch number 8. That's how I'd rate him. But yeah, look, there's so many options this week. And I might even bring 2 in to my own team. Like, just to make the team better. There's some amazing fixtures on offer this week as well, particularly for Enzo and Rice. Even Sarr, I think, is going to be really good against Bournemouth as well. I think they're all really good. You can make cases for all of them. Let me know which one's your favourites and whether you've got any of them in your own teams. So onto the free hit draft for Game Week 8 that I've concocted. Now, this comes in at a team value of 100.1 million. In the bank, it is 0.3 million, so there's a little bit of room to manoeuvre. And as you can see here, I've gone with Mo Salah and a Haaland draft for the free hit. I just think that Mo Salah is going to return to form against Man United. Now, I've watched Man United all the time. We're horrible at defending. He's going to be playing on the same side, realistically, that's going to have Diego Dalot on there, most likely. Or Dorgu and Luke Shaw. And let's be honest, I fancy Mo Salah against any of those players. Like, let's be honest. I'm a Man United fan. I know what to expect here. They are rubbish. And if Diego Dalot plays down that side, Mo Salah is going to have an absolute field day. He's 100% scoring. He might even score multiple goals against Diego Dalot. If Ruben Amorim puts him there, I'm going to be tearing my hair out live on the watch along on Sunday during that live game. And it'll just be 90 minutes of me cursing Diego Dalot and Ruben Amorim because he's going to get torn apart if he puts him there against Mo Salah. In terms of the defence, I know Timber is not Fulham away. It's not a green fixture. It's grey. And Chalobah, I've got a bit too excited. That's also a grey one. But them along with Burn and Ariel. Now, put Ariel in goal because obviously I ran out of funds. I think Brentford don't score against West Ham this week. I think Nuno's going to shut up shop. I think they're going to be really good and I think he's going to be great. I've then included Paquetá, Rice and Sarr in midfield. I think this week, with those fixtures, they're probably the best assets to facilitate, obviously, the Mo Salah and then the Erling Haaland fixtures. Now, I know that Haaland's against Everton. There's a couple of issues on this one. Should have really fixed this before I'd done it, but oh well, we roll with it. Haaland's playing Everton. You could argue that he's a better captain than Mo Salah. I just think Mo Salah's record against Man United is through the roof, and I think for that reason, I'd be picking him if I had him in my squad as captain. Bowen's obviously in there with João Pedro. I think both of them should be really good. They've got very nice fixtures. Again, I put Brentford as a green fixture because I know I'm going to be excited. I think, see, the thing is, I originally put these in expecting FPL to change the FDR earlier in the week. I made this graphic like last week or whatever when I was on holiday, and I expected them to update it. They just haven't. I think Brentford at home is actually an easy fixture. Fulham, I think, is just generally an easy fixture as well. And Nottingham Forest is 100% a green fixture at the moment. I don't care what anyone tells me, it is. Then on the bench, you've just got fodder. You've got Dubravka, Mukiele, Gudmundsson, and then you've got King. And King is Rodon. I mean, there's so many errors on this graphic. I do not know what I've done here. Absolute mare. That is King, but he is Rodon. But it's definitely meant to be King. I just picked players that are just going to play on the bench. And spend all the money on the field. I think all these guys are pretty much guaranteed to start for their teams this week. And I think it'll be good. Best free hit draft. That's what I've come up with this week. Let me know what you think of that one. I don't think many people are going to be on free hit this week because it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's not really the best fixtures to be targeting. But, you know, if that floats your boat, hopefully it gives you a couple of ideas. And then on to my updated Gameweek 8 wildcard draft. And this graphic is correct. Thank the Lord for that. Now, this one, 100.6 million team value. In the bank, it's 0.1 mil. And you're going to line up with a 3-4-3 this week. Now, I've got Pope and Burn as a double up in the Newcastle defence here again. I'm just backing that in. I've got supreme confidence in the way that Newcastle are playing. And I do think that there is a strong chance that they can go to Brighton and get a result and keep a clean sheet. Now, Chalobah's in there as well. I'd love to be able to fit Cucurella in, but there's no way to make it happen unless I dropped some other players right down, and I just didn't want to do that. And I think, again, his attacking threat's going to be good. He's a centre-back, so there's more likelihood he doesn't get rested. And with Chelsea's injuries in that position, he should be good for at least the next 4 or 5 weeks, which is when you really want him to be playing anyway. I just think he should be great. And then Jurriën Timber, obviously the Arsenal defender. We do cover the Arsenal defence here with arguably, I believe, the best pick of the lot of them. I've obviously got Dubravka as the cheap goalkeeper there. I mean, just pick a week where he's got a nice fixture and bench boost if you haven't already done it. If you've already bench boosted, happy days. You don't have to worry about it. In terms of the midfield, you have to have Semenyo. I think it's stupid to take his ownership on at the moment. He just continues to do the goods. And he just seems to be pretty fixture-proof as well for the early part of the season. Saka, Sarr, Rice and Caicedo make up the other 4 spots. Now, I would have loved to have fitted Enzo in here instead of Caicedo, but there just wasn't a world where I could make it happen and I was happy with the draft. So for that reason, it's Caicedo in and he should be really good value. Let's be honest, I just think he'll be good. He's a really good 8th attacker with the other 7 blokes you've got. And then you can just play him if there's a good fixture and you're worried about one of the other fixtures, you're worried about rotation, you can just bring him on. The dude literally plays every game for Chelsea, so he's a bit of a no-brainer. And there's lots of points to be had there. And then up front, we've gone with Bowen, Haaland and João Pedro, who I personally believe are the 3 best forwards to have on any wildcard draft this week. I'm surprised that they are not the template. Bowen's fixtures and the fact that he's now playing for Nuno in what I expect to be a far more organised team screams a lot of points to me. I'm surprised that not more people are buying him. Haaland is just your set and forget captain at the moment. I wouldn't even put much. yeah, I'd just leave it on him and roll until he starts blanking or he gets injured. There is no reason to overthink it and overcomplicate it. Yeah, I suppose you could make an argument for Semenyo and Saka potentially, but I don't think so. I think you just leave it there. Then the other fill-in on the benches are Truffett and Juve. Now, I've gone with Truffett because of the fact that I couldn't afford Senesi without dropping Juve to a 4 million defender, and I just didn't think that was worth it, because I think Juve under Nuno and that system, we saw a hint of what it could be. He got the DC points last game week against Arsenal. He's already got 4 assists for the season, and Truffett also inspires me. Really good for underlying bonus when Bournemouth do keep a clean sheet. And I think he's going to start whacking in the assist a bit like Juve does. They both look like fantastic players, and they're cheap enablers for what you want to do with the rest of the squad. Again, hopefully that's giving you some ideas if you are on wildcard. That is my updated draft. I've got rid of Gordon. I did think about Nick Voldemort instead of João Pedro, which would have freed up 0.5, which would have got Caicedo to a 6.3 million thing, and then I had 0.1 in the bank, which is 6.4, but then I couldn't work out where else I would save 0.3. You could get rid of Juve and bring in Alderete or Mukiele, then you could get Caicedo to Enzo, but then you're stuck with a real good benching dilemma every single week for your forward 8 spots, and you're literally locked in pretty much to playing a 3-man defense every week. So again, let me know what you think of that. If you are on wildcard, hopefully that gives you some food for thought about how you might be able to differentiate your team just a little bit. So that brings you to the end of my transfer tips for Game Week 8. I can't believe it. We're getting there. By the time this gets out to you, which will be tomorrow, I'm recording this on Tuesday night, Australian time. It'll be out Wednesday afternoon. I have my team selection out on Thursday, and then the very first live FPL late mail will be out. What I need you all to do is start whacking in what you want to see in the late mail. What do you want me to cover live after the press conferences? Obviously going to cover all the press conference updates. I'm going to have the card calls again. If you want card calls, please whack them in, because I will be making up a graphic, and then I'll be throwing it open to the live chat as well for other random stuff in there. So again, just do that. It's going to be great. Hopefully, I don't know how long it's going to go for. It's probably going to be live at 5 p.m. UK time as well, because I'm actually DJing before it. So I'm going to be coming fresh from that, which will be fun and exciting. I'll be up and about. And with that being said, if you've enjoyed that, smash a like, leave us a comment. And if you haven't already smashed that sub button, please do it for me. Much love, FPL D-Unit.